From the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight, breaking down the Broncos win over the Dallas Cowboys in the preseason, 17-7. A lot of very impressive individual performances. Some of the groups as well, the receiving core, holy cow. When we talked about the depth coming into the season and wondering what that was going to be, full display out there Saturday night. Benjamin, I guess we can start there on the offensive side of the ball. What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, for the Broncos side of the house, I think as a negative, you didn't get much push in the run game. You're going to have to figure that out. That is something you're going to need to go more forward. In the pass game, they pretty much did what they wanted to at will. There was one play I think that I thought was pretty botched. It was you and I were sitting next to each other, and I said, "Oh, the slot guy is going to come open," and then and they blew that play. They didn't get a guy open. They had three guys in routes, didn't get him open with max protect, and that was sort of a problem. But beyond that, I really felt like the run game was the weak link. Everything else looked pretty darn good. I had a little bone to pick with Allbright, kind of waving at Dallas players as they ran past him rather than blocking. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good preseason game. I'd like to see a little more effort from Allbright on the blocking. I'd like to see some more push in the offensive line and go from there. I think we have to relegate them to the Alice Cowboys because there wasn't much D happening.
A lot of penalties as well there for Dallas. But yeah, I mean, certainly on the offensive side of the ball, there are things to be cleaned up. The running game, Coach Hackett expressed his frustration about that afterwards. I think blocking in general is something you'd like to see some improvement. But again, with the receiving core, wondering who's going to sort of step up into the Tim Patrick role, what's your depth going to look like. I thought we saw great performances not only on special teams from those guys because they're all going to need to play special teams. We also saw some good performances as receivers. Jalen Virgil, incredible concentration on that deep catch down the left sideline. Great concentration from Kendall Hinton on the touchdown and the fade. Seth Williams came up with some big catches. Brandon Johnson came up with some big catches. Montreal Washington was out there. So one of the things that oftentimes happens in training camp and preseason is we see good performances from receivers, but they don't always back it up game after game after game. But this group does feel like they're further ahead than we expected.
Yeah, we've talked about the depth of the receiving core, and that was a resounding statement, I think, in this game. A lot of outside the number, deep ball type stuff, one-on-one jump ball type stuff, and our receivers won. Their corners didn't, just flat out. So that was I think a positive thing. Like I said, love to see the tight ends a little bit more involved. That was one of those things where I was like, with these two quarterbacks, you'd think the tight end would get a little bit more involved.
We talking about Eric Tomlinson got the one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go. But overall, it wasn't bad. Calvin Anderson, I think he's going to get some more competition here. Billy Turner's not back, but he's off the pup but not back. But I think they're going to give him more competition with Cam Fleming and see what they can do. Beyond that, overall, good performance. Would have liked to see more points on the board in the end. They left some points on the field that dropped by Stevie Scott was pretty big.
At the goal line.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. So I would have loved to see more points on the board, not just because I had the over, but because I'd like to see more points. 17 is not going to cut it in the regular season, but we'll take it for now. It's a good first step.
All right, let's go to the defensive side, and of course, it's highlighted, unfortunately, by an injury to Jonas Griffith and the second play of the game, prompting, by the way, the Broncos signing Joe Schobert today, formerly of the Steelers last year, Jacksonville. He was drafted by the Browns, right? Former Wisconsin Badger. But for the defense, again, they nearly pitched a shutout for most of the game. Now, Dallas hurt themselves with a lot of the penalties. That didn't help them. But P.J. Locke came up with an interception. Michael Ojemudia had a nice break on the ball, almost had another interception. And, of course, Baron Browning looked like a revelation out there. So I feel like for the defense, there were a ton of positives. And when we spent most of the time this offseason talking offense.
Yeah, there were some moments there against the run where I felt like that they were faltering a little. Most of them got called back due to penalties. Dallas's offense was just on fire in terms of getting penalties. They were absolutely just racking them up, and if you got points for that, they would be in the Super Bowl. But overall, I thought the defense held up pretty well. Obviously, PJ got the interception at the safety position. I thought that was pretty good. Didn't see too many lapses out of the corner. Bless let one up that he probably shouldn't have, but didn't see too many lapses out of the corners. And the run game, like I said, they gave up some runs that they probably shouldn't have, but they all got called back due to penalties. So it ended up not hurting them too much. Would like to see a little bit more pressure from the pass rush, but Baron Browning was getting there, was early often, and I don't know if that was a byproduct of playing Josh Ball or if he's actually that good. But we'll get a chance to see it up against Buffalo and Minnesota the next two games.
Yeah, he's got to continue that, but he's been that good for the most part during most of training camp. He's been getting opportunities against the twos, but also a little bit with the ones, and he's been good the the entire time. So I'm inclined to believe that this is not just going to be a flash in the pan kind of performance. But you're right. Some of that stuff has to be taken into account, including, I thought, a couple nice moments from Nick Bonito. I think that there's some stuff to work on. I mean, overall, for the defense here, as we take a step towards this and then we'll look at the special teams, it just feels like they're going to be pretty opportunistic. This is going to be a very attacking style defense. Mm-hmm. And as we've seen, and you discussed on Broncos Country Tonight, the radio show, historically with Vic Fangio, we saw more of the let's let them bait them into opportunities. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be that way with Ejiro Evero.
No, they're going to try and dictate to offenses. And previously the Broncos last couple of years under Vic Fangio, the idea has been, hey, we're gonna try and trick you into running the football and hit you for shorter gains, and then come after you. No, they're going to come after you on first and second down too.
Last one, special teams. Montre Washington looks outstanding. Mm-hmm. And it was great to see. We talked to him on Broncos Country Tonight, the radio show. You guys can check that out at broncoscountrytonight.com. But yeah, I mean, he already looks more dynamic as a returner than anybody they've had since Trent and Holiday. And you match that with, I thought, a good overall performance, good tackling. You had a block in there by Barrington Wade. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, for a first glimpse of special teams, it looked improved. We'll see what they can keep it up.
Yeah, A+ all the way across in special teams. Whether it was coverage units, whether it was trying to block, and they did block, got a hand on it, Barrington Wade, you mentioned that, whether it was the returns, whether it was kicking stuff, punting stuff. A+ across the board on special teams, looks much improved. I know it's one preseason game. Don't want to put too much stock in, but there's cautious optimism there that they finally got that thing nailed down. Yeah,
and certainly for the Broncos, there's going to be moments. If you can help yourself on field positioning, right, offense or defense, can be very significant. So that's something that the Broncos have had so many problems over the last couple of years that it felt like it was like a leaky boat, right? It's like, oh, well, you want to patch the offense, you want to patch the defense, and special teams will figure it out. That end of the boat, it's going to sink. We can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. Well, now things are patched on the offense, more or less, right? Obviously, you got to figure out a couple things. Defense, they seem like they're going to be okay. Special teams can't be a liability. And I think we're moving past that so far. But again, it's only one preseason game. Look forward to what they can do against Buffalo. All right, that's a breakdown of the first preseason game. For more, of course, check us out 6 to 9 p.m. on KOA. For Benjamin Allbright, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
You can stand up and salute in Denver, and you got the world champions that live in your town.